Welcome to today's deep dive. So, we're diving into a text today that outlines 7, get this, mental laws for success and happiness.
7 laws.
Yeah, I know, right? It sounds like, I don't know, some self-help starter pack or something.
It does have that ring to it, doesn't it? But these laws that we'll be unpacking, they're not exactly like a new age invention or anything like that. They're more like reflections of these really, really old ideas, principles of how our minds actually work.
Right. Time-tested wisdom, repackaged maybe. But hey, if it stood the test of time, maybe there's something to it. And it starts with, well, I gotta admit, a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
Each of us is totally unique.
Unique?
Yeah, like not just, oh, you're special, unique, but on this whole cosmic level, the text even points to things like, get this, your blood composition, your fingerprints, even those tiny little prints in your ears. It's saying all that is one of a kind in the entire universe.
It's true, though. It is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Right. It's like, wow, okay, maybe I do have something unique to offer. So it's like this grand opening statement about the potential within each of us just waiting to be, unlocked.
Exactly. And that's where the first law comes in. The law of control.
Okay, law of control. Hit me with it. What's the gist?
All right. So picture this. You're the captain of a ship, right? You're charting your course, adjusting your sails to the wind. You're in control.
At a good visual.
Now imagine the opposite. You're adrift on a raft, just getting tossed around by every single wave at the mercy of the elements. No control whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
The law of control basically says that when you feel like you're at the helm of your own life, calling the shots, that's when you tap into all the good stuff. Empowerment, purpose, all that.
Makes sense.
But on the flip side, feeling like things just happen to you, that you're just along for the ride, that's what leads to negativity. The feeling of helplessness.
So ditch the raft, build yourself a ship. Message received. But, all right, let's get real for a second. How do we even start to build that sense of control in our actual lives? I'm talking about our careers, our relationships, heck, even just our moods on a daily basis.
Well, it all starts by understanding that you're not just some passenger in your own life, right?
Yeah.
You're the architect. You're the one designing the blueprint. It's about making that mental shift from things happen to me to I make things happen.
Okay, so instead of, oof, why me, stuck in traffic again, it's, all right, I've got 20 minutes. What can I do with this?
Exactly. Maybe you catch up on a podcast.
Hey, I like where your head's at. Or, I don't know, finally learn how to fold a fitted sheet.
There you go. It's about recognizing those small choices you do have, even in situations that feel, limiting. And this actually ties directly into another one of these laws, the law of cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Okay, so classic physics principle. But what's that have to do with taking control of our lives?
Because it completely dismantles this idea that things just, happen randomly for no reason. It tells us that for every effect, there's a cause. Think about it. Let's say you're late for work, like all the time.
Been there.
So blaming traffic every single time, that's the law of accident toss.
Why does this always happen to me? Right.
Exactly. It's a victim mindset.
Yeah.
But the law of cause and effect forces you to dig a little deeper. Is it really the traffic, or are you hitting snooze a few too many times? Maybe your morning routine could use some work.
Okay, I see what you mean. So it's less about feeling like we're at the mercy of circumstance and more about becoming like detectives of our own lives.
Yeah, exactly.
We start looking for the causes behind the effects we see. And once we know the cause, we can change it, right?
Yeah, bingo. You've got it. And that's where the true control comes in. It's empowering, wouldn't you say?
For sure. But speaking of things that shape our reality, the text goes on to talk about the law of belief. And this is where things start to get a little more, I don't know, out there.
Out there.
Yeah, a little more esoteric maybe. Am I wrong?
Well, maybe a little, yeah. But it's not as complicated as it might sound. The law of belief essentially says that what you believe, really truly believe in your core, has a way of, becoming your reality.
Okay, I think I'm following. So, like, if I'm convinced I'm just bad at math,
Go on.
then chances are I'm probably not going to ace that calculus exam, even if maybe with enough effort I could.
Exactly. The belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're less likely to even try, right? And the text actually illustrates this with a pretty interesting story.
Oh, yeah, the story about the student who thought his high test score was his actual IQ. That one really stuck with me.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's one our listeners will really connect with.
Oh, absolutely. So this student, he was absolutely convinced that he wasn't naturally smart. And because of that belief, he consistently underperformed throughout school. Think about that.
Wow. It's like that Henry Ford quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. Our beliefs, they act like filters for how we experience the world. If we believe we're incapable of something, we're less likely to even see the opportunities, let alone actually go for them.
That's huge. Okay, so big takeaway there. Examine your beliefs. But how do we actually change them? It's not as easy as just deciding to believe something different one day,
Yeah, you're
right?
telling me it's not like flipping a switch, unfortunately.
Right.
But it all starts with awareness.
Hmm.
The text suggests, like, actually taking the time to identify those beliefs that are holding us back. Maybe even write them down.
Get them out of our heads and into the open.
Exactly. Shine a light on them. Because then we can start to question them. Are these beliefs even based on anything real? Or are they just old programming? Outdated software?
Yeah.
You know? Like that student, we might be surprised to find that the beliefs we're clinging to, they're just not even true.
It's like, I don't know, walking around with sunglasses on indoors.
Okay? Like,
The world seems so much brighter when you finally take them off.
perfect analogy. And, that shift in perspective, it really paves the way for the next law, the law of expectation.
Okay, law of expectation laid on me.
So we've talked about how our beliefs can kind of shape our realities, but this one takes it even a step further. It suggests that what we expect, well, that actually has a way of becoming our reality too.
Wait, so if I expect good things to happen, they're more likely to happen? Is that what you're saying?
It's not quite as simple as like wishful thinking or anything. It's more about the energy we're putting out there. And the text actually brings up some really fascinating research here to back this up. Have you heard of the Pygmalion effect?
That rings a bell. Remind me.
All right. So there was this researcher, Dr. Rosenthal, right? And in one of his studies, he told these teachers that certain students were quote unquote high achievers. But the thing is, these students, they were randomly chosen. There was no actual difference between them and the other kids.
Okay, so what happened? Did those kids end up excelling even though at the beginning there was no real reason for them to?
Exactly. You got it. The teacher's expectations, even though they never actually said them out loud, those expectations, they influenced how the teachers treated those students. They gave them more encouragement, challenged them more, and the students, well, they rose to the occasion.
You're kidding. Just because the teachers expected them to do better. So it's not just about like having high expectations for ourselves then, but also about realizing the impact that our expectations have on others too.
Now you're getting it. It's powerful stuff. If we really believe in someone's potential and we let them know that, we actually empower them to reach those heights.
It's like that saying, believe you can and you're halfway there. But it turns out believing in someone else can also give them a head start.
Absolutely. And, even something as simple as, hey, I believe in you, can be so transformative, especially for kids or students or, heck, even people we work with.
The power of a little encouragement, right? Okay, so we've got beliefs shaping our reality. We've got expectations playing a huge role in how things turn out. And now, to throw another mind bender at us, the text throws this one into the mix. The law of attraction.
Wait, are we about to get into manifestation territory here?
We are. Buckle up. The law of attraction basically proposes this, that we are like living magnets. And the thoughts and feelings we have, well, they're constantly attracting people and situations into our lives that match that same energy.
Hold on a second. So you're saying that if I just sit here and think about winning the lottery,
Yeah.
that I'm going to win the lottery? Because if that's all it took, I think we'd all be millionaires by now.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's not about like manifesting $1 million just by thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay, good. Because I was about to go buy a whole bunch of lottery tickets. So what is it really about then?
It's about recognizing that we all have this energy that we radiate based on what we're thinking and feeling, right? And just like in physics, like attracts like.
Right.
So if we spend most of our time dwelling on negativity, if those are the thoughts swirling around in our heads, well, we're more likely to attract more of that same negativity into our lives.
So it's like that saying, misery loves company. But instead of just attracting other miserable people, we're attracting miserable situations too.
You got it.
No.
So the key then becomes shifting that focus. Instead of giving all our attention to what we don't want, the law of attraction encourages us to consciously focus on what we do want.
So it's about cultivating a more positive outlook, a more receptive mindset.
Exactly. But
And-
easier said than done.
That's what I was thinking. Our minds, they can be like magnets for worry, anxieties. It's like we're hardwired for it. So if our minds are kind of like experts at focusing on the negative. How do we actually break free from that? How do we actually use this law of attraction to our advantage?
It's like, you're trying to build up a new muscle. Think about it. Learning to play an instrument, training for a marathon, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it takes time, right? Consistent effort. You got to practice.
Right, got to put in the reps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the same goes for our minds. So the text, it suggests starting small. Instead of trying to completely overhaul your mindset overnight, it's more about like finding these little moments throughout the day to be grateful for the good things.
So appreciate that beautiful sunset. Actually savor that delicious meal. Find those little things that bring us joy.
Exactly. And by consciously, like shifting our focus to the positive, we start to, rewire our brains a little bit.
Retrain ourselves to look for the good.
Yeah, exactly. And over time, it becomes more natural to not only see the good, but to actually expect positive outcomes.
Right.
And that right there is where the law of attraction really kicks in.
It's not about pretending that negative things don't exist. It's more about where we're choosing to direct our energy.
100%.
Like we can choose to water the flowers instead of the weeds.
Right.
Right.
Love that. It's like we're tending to the garden of our minds. And speaking of which, that leads us perfectly to this last law the text talks about, the law of correspondence.
Okay, law of correspondence. Hit me. What's that one all about?
All right, so the pretty simple concept, but super profound when you really think about it. It's basically this idea, as within, so without.
Okay, I'm going to need you to elaborate on that.
All right, so think of your life like a house, okay? Most people, they spend all their time decorating the exterior.
The furniture, the paint color, curb appeal.
Yeah, all that. But the law of correspondence, it's saying that the real transformation, that comes from working on the foundation, the structure, the stuff most people don't see.
The inner workings.
Exactly.
So if my life feels like chaotic and stressful, it's not enough to just rearrange the furniture.
Exactly. You got to address the root cause.
Mm.
Are you holding on to negative beliefs? Are your expectations out of whack? Are you like neglecting your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, all that?
Okay, so it's this idea that our outer world is really just a reflection of what's going on inside.
Right.
So if I want to see something different in the mirror, I have to start by changing what's being reflected.
Exactly. It all starts with us.
Powerful stuff. And it really ties everything together, doesn't it? All these mental laws we've been talking about. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we choose to think, what we choose to believe, and what we expect.
100%.
And in doing that, we might just have a bigger impact on our own lives than we realize.
Absolutely. This deep dive, it's given us a whole new way to look at the power of our own minds. And by really taking these laws to heart, taking control, questioning our beliefs, really thinking about our expectations, tapping into that law of attraction, and then making sure that our inner world and our outer world, that they're aligned, well, that's how we start to unlock our true potential.
It's not about being perfect, right? It's about being open to learning, to growing, to always becoming better versions of ourselves.
Exactly. It's a journey. And that's pretty exciting, wouldn't you say?
For sure. Well, we've given everyone a lot to think about today. As you go about your day, think about this. If you could snap your fingers and instantly change one thing about your inner world, maybe a thought you have, a belief, an expectation, what kind of transformation would that create in your outer world? Keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and as always, keep unlocking that extraordinary potential